and munchies. Murder and munchies. Murder and munchies. Murder and munchies. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. You're too awesome. You're too awesome. Today, we're going to be talking about the Papin Sisters. You probably never heard of them. But this is a murder case that haunts France and has been haunting France for more than 80 years. Today's munchies, little bites. You guys can get them in like Walmart, Target. They're very good. Now, man, so you have these sisters and they left a bloody mark in France. This case caught the attention of like many French intellectuals who wrote different analyses of the case. It was even turned into a film. Now, Christine and Leah Papin, they spent their youth in a village, and you know, they were about 7 years apart in age, and you know, it didn't seem to influence their bond, but man, they had an elder sister. Her name was Amelia. She became a nun after the father raped her. I mean, I thought nuns were virgins. Well, yeah, that's technically, well, okay, so we're not going to discuss that. Okay, so listen, they were inseparable, even though like you never really seen them talk to each other. I mean, so how would you know if they were you know what, okay, anyway, everybody thought they were inseparable. Now they got jobs as maids, you know. Every job they had, they worked as a pair. And anyway, in 1926, they became living servants in a mansion. Okay, so now listen to this. A retired solicitor living in the town of it's called Les Mans. Okay, so Renee, his wife, and their grown-up daughter lived there. The other daughter moved out. She moved because she got married. Anyway, this mansion, while their home, is where the horrendous crime took place. Now, they required these girls to work 14 hours a day. I mean, it would seem normal for house servants, but 14 hours a day? It's a long time. Anyway, the girls were quiet. They kept to themselves. You know, they were always doing their job. They were very respectful. You know, they didn't care about them spending time with each other, you know, as long as the house was in order. Okay. Anyway, February 2nd, 1933, Renee was supposed to meet his wife at a friend's house for dinner. When she was long overdue, he went home to look for her. As he approached the house, he noticed that the lights were off. The only candlelight coming was from the maid's chamber. Now the doors was locked, so this where stuff get crazy. Okay, so Lancelot went to the police. They entered the house. They didn't have no idea what was behind the doors. Woo. But people would say it was brutal. Their eyes had been gouged out. The faces was smashed. You couldn't even recognize them. Oh my goodness. Anyway, in the service room, the two girls were laying naked on the bed. Now, they confessed to the murders. They did. Anyway, you know, the murder weapons were collected as evidence. It was a kitchen knife, a hammer, and a pewter pot. So Christine and Leah were placed in a prison separately. You know, you can't separate people when they attach to the hip, or else they would become distressed. But I mean, she was allowed to see her sister on occasion. I mean, it's, listen to this. The sisters had a sexual relationship. The sisters, did you hear me? Had a sexual relationship. Now, okay, fast forward, you know, they had the funeral for the victims, and a few months later, you know, Christine went insane. She tried to take her own eyes out. She was quickly restrained. You know, they kept her restrained. And when the murders were committed, she said that she had the same feeling. So she implied that her behavior was a consequence of mental illness. Now, anyway, as the trial was about to start, the pressure from the public, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was so crazy that it reached fever pitch. Now, they argued about the murders. They argued that it was a manifestation of class struggle. They rebelled against their masters. You know, it reflected the poor conditions under which the people who had worked as servants to the rich lived. But let's get back to the sisters and their art relationships. Mind you, they had a sexual relationship. They were inseparable. Okay, so fast forward to 1933. You know, they're awaiting the verdict. It was concluded that Christine was the mastermind behind the crime. And the reason why they killed them in cold blood was because they had a petty argument. And Leah was the younger of the two. You know, she was completely consumed by her sister. She didn't even have her own personality. She was just basically a clone of her sister. Now, they did have some mental illness. You know, they had a violent father figure, you know. But Christine was sentenced to death. Her sister just got a reduced sentence due to her position. I mean, she was the accomplice. Now, Christine's sentence was changed to life imprisonment. So she became depressed. She wouldn't eat. She would throw fits. She would, you know, have her little moments. And she couldn't cope from being separated from her sister. Now, Christine died in 1937. Leah was released from prison in 1941. Then she moved in with her mother. And she found a job in a hotel. But she had to use a fake identity, unfortunately. It was believed that she had died in 1982. But this came into question in 2000. When a documentary filmmaker called Claude Ventura claimed that she was still alive. She is shown in the film. Now, this is crazy. So, okay, so you had girls that were in kind of a toxic background, inseparable sisters, you know, they were close. They were like this. But what I can't get past is the fact that they had a sexual relationship, a nurtured sexual relationship. They were sisters. Now, Christine was the mastermind. She basically ran her younger sister, Leah. But the crimes that they committed, a knife, a hammer, man. Guys, There's some strange things going on out here. I don't even know. But I wanted to say, guys, that's it today for Murder and Munchies. Stay tuned because we're going to be making our own snacks soon. And we're going to talk more about some gruesome murder crimes. Thanks, guys. Thank you for your support.